Today, we're digging into the playbook of Gumroad's CEO, Sahil Lavingia. He's on this mission to make his engineering team a staggering 40 times more productive, and he's using AI to do it. So how's he planning on pulling this off? Well, let's get into it.
40 times. I mean, just let that number sink in for a second. What would it even mean for you or your team to do something that used to take 2 whole weeks of work and get it done in just a couple of hours? I know, it sounds kind of impossible, but that's the goal that's driving this entire strategy.
And there it is, right from Sahil himself. Look, this isn't about making tiny improvements here and there. This is about completely rethinking how we build things. A full 40-hour work week squished into a single hour. So the big question is, how on earth do you even get close to that? So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll talk about this big 40x promise. Then, we'll walk through the exact AI workflow Gumroad is using, step by step. After that, we'll see how they got the whole team on board, what this all means for the future of tech jobs. And finally, I'll give you the single best first step you can take to try this yourself.
All right, first up, the 40x promise. You know that classic situation, right? A feature seems super simple, but it ends up taking 2 weeks of back and forth between specs, design, and engineering. That's the exact bottleneck, the pain point, that Sahil is trying to just completely obliterate.
And here's the key thing to understand. This new level of productivity isn't really about writing code faster. It's about changing where developers spend their time and energy. Instead of getting totally lost in the weeds of implementation details, they can spend way more time focusing on what actually matters, solving real customer problems, which, let's be honest, is the fun part anyway, right? Okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty. Section 2, the new AI workflow. This is the tactical core of Sahil's whole playbook, and it's built around 3 specific AI tools that are designed to work together perfectly. So here's the flow. It's pretty simple, actually. First, you prototype your idea using a tool called V0. It basically generates front-end components just from text prompts. Once you've got a prototype you really like, you hand it off to Devin, the AI software engineer, to actually build it in your real codebase. And then, finally, if you need to make any little tweaks, you can just jump into Cursor, which is an AI-native code editor, to polish the final product. Now, to make this all feel a bit more real, let's look at an actual example Sahil shared. He was using his own product, Flexile, and he noticed that the date picker was, and I'm quoting him here, terrible. It was just that generic, clunky browser date picker, you know the one. You couldn't just type next Monday or anything human-friendly. This was the perfect small-scale problem to throw at his new AI workflow. So what did he do? He just went over to V0 and gave it a super simple descriptive prompt. He asked it to build a magical and dope new date picker. And within minutes, V0 spit out a functional prototype that looked great and actually worked, using modern components. As soon as he was happy with it, he just took that final, refined prompt from V0 and pasted it right into Devin to build the real thing. Done. Now, this is a really critical insight from Sahil. A lot of people try these tools and get frustrated, right? They say, it's faster to just do it myself. But he argues that's often because their tech stack isn't AI-friendly. These tools are absolutely killer with modern frameworks like React and Tailwind, because that's what they were trained on, a massive amount of public code using those exact technologies. If your stack is older or more obscure, you're probably going to have a tougher time. Okay, this all leads us to our third section, from solo to team. I mean, it's one thing for a CEO to mess around with cool new tools, but how do you get your whole team to actually change how they work? Especially when, as Sahil points out, change is just uncomfortable for people. So here's Gumroad's strategy. First, Sahil led from the front. He recorded super detailed videos of his own workflow and shared them. Second, they created some serious financial incentives. And this is a big one. They focused on making their entire development environment so simple that an AI could set it up from scratch. That had this great side effect of making it way easier for new human engineers to get started, too. And about those financial incentives, yeah, they were not messing around. They launched something called the Devin competition, putting up a $33,000 prize pool for whoever on the team could merge more pull requests using the AI agent Devin than the CEO himself in 1 month. And check out the results. It totally worked. Sahil came in 4th place with 27 merged PRs, but 3 of his engineers actually beat him. And this wasn't just some fun contest, it was proof. It showed that this new way of working could be adopted by the whole team, and that they could become even more productive than the person who introduced the tools in the first place. So, What does all of this mean for the future? Well, that brings us to section 4, the future of building. Because when you can ship features this fast, the very nature of our jobs in tech starts to change in pretty big ways. This is Sahil's big and kind of provocative prediction. He believes that pretty soon, human engineers are going to spend most of their time on high-level architecture and just cleaning up technical debt. Basically, their main job will be to keep the code base healthy and create a clean foundation so that AI agents like Devin can be the ones actually shipping most of the day-to-day features. And you can see how this shift transforms all the key roles. Engineering goes from writing code to being the architects, the guardians of the system's quality. Designers, now armed with tools like V0, can go from just making mockups to actually shipping features themselves, which really blurs the line between design and front-end dev. And with AI handling a lot of the prioritization, product managers get to focus on the really big picture, finding completely new problems to solve. And that brings us to our final section, your first AI step. After hearing all this, you're probably wondering, okay, this sounds cool, but where do I even start without getting totally overwhelmed? So with all these new tools and workflows and ideas, what's the single best place to actually begin? Sahil's answer is super clear on this one. Start with V0. Why? Because it's the lowest hanging fruit. Pretty much anyone can use it. You don't need a complicated developer setup, and it gives you this immediate visual wow moment that just shows you what's possible. It helps you believe, and that belief is what motivates you to learn all the other stuff. And when you do start playing around with it, here are 2 simple pro tips from Sahil to get better results. First, use all caps for the most critical parts of your prompt. It's kind of old school, but it really works. It basically screams at the AI, hey, do not ignore this instruction. Second, use the word etc. If you want a list of ideas, just give it a couple of examples and then add etc. to let the AI get creative and expand on your thought. And that leaves us with one final, really powerful question to think about. For years, our best ideas have been limited by how much time and effort it takes to build them. But if AI can handle more and more of that execution for us, the new bottleneck isn't the work. It's our own creativity and ambition. So what will you build?